Section 27. Shopping Offers Introduction. Is it ethical to shop an offer? Throughout this course, we have discussed fiduciary duties, agency disclosure, buyer representation, dual agency, and the obligation to protect a client's interests. One of the most common questions listing agents face is what to do when multiple offers arrive on the same property. Should the listing broker tell one buyer about another buyer's offer? Should the broker disclose the price and terms? Does the broker have an obligation to create a bidding war? Or does doing so violate professional standards? Many agents are surprised to learn that the answer often depends on the seller's instructions and the broker's fiduciary duty to obtain the best possible outcome for the seller. The issue is commonly referred to as shopping offers. While some agents view shopping offers as aggressive negotiation, courts have generally viewed it as part of a broker's obligation to protect the seller's interests when handled properly. The key is understanding who the broker represents and following the seller's instructions. The listing broker works for the seller. One of the most important agency principles is that a listing broker owes fiduciary duties to the seller. These duties include loyalty, disclosure, obedience, confidentiality, reasonable care, and the obligation to seek the best terms available for the client. Arizona courts have repeatedly recognized that a broker must exercise reasonable care and judgment to obtain the best possible results for the seller. Cases such as Vivian Arnold Realty Co. v. McCormick and Morley v. J. Pagel Realty reinforce that a broker's responsibility is to effect a sale on the best terms and at the best obtainable price. This duty sometimes places the broker in a difficult position when multiple offers are received. The two-offer scenario. Imagine you are the listing agent for a home listed at $500,000. On Friday afternoon, you receive an offer for $495,000. 2 hours later, a second buyer submits an offer for $500,000. What should you do? Many agents immediately ask whether they should inform both buyers that competing offers exist. The answer is not always simple. The first step is not calling the buyers. The first step is calling the seller. Because the seller is your client, the seller should be informed of all available options and allowed to direct the negotiation strategy. The Marmis case, Arizona addressed this issue in Marmis v. Solot Co. In that case, an unsuccessful buyer sued a listing broker after learning that the broker had effectively shopped the offer in an effort to obtain a better price for the seller. The Arizona Court of Appeals rejected the buyer's claim and explained that the broker's efforts to obtain a better price were simply part of the broker's obligation to the seller. The court specifically stated that the broker could not be penalized for fulfilling duties owed to the seller. This case remains one of the strongest Arizona examples supporting the principle that listing brokers have a duty to seek the best terms available for their clients. Competition often benefits the seller. Consider what happens when multiple buyers want the same property. If the listing broker simply accepts the first offer without discussing alternatives with the seller may miss an opportunity to obtain a higher price, stronger terms, fewer contingencies, or a quicker closing. The court in Marmis recognized that vigorous competitive bidding often benefits the seller, because buyers may improve their offers when they know competition exists. This does not mean every situation should become a bidding war. It simply means the seller should be allowed to decide how aggressively to negotiate. Real-world example. The weekend offer frenzy. Imagine a property is listed on Thursday. By Sunday evening, 5 offers have been received. One offer is the highest price. Another offer includes no appraisal contingency. A third offer is all cash. A fourth offer offers a quicker closing. A fifth offer is from a buyer willing to purchase the property completely as is. Which offer is best? The answer depends on the seller's goals. Some sellers prioritize price. Others prioritize certainty. Others prioritize speed. This is why listing agents should present all relevant information to the seller and discuss available options before proceeding. The New Jersey example. A similar issue arose in the New Jersey case of Melvany v. McCrane. In that case, both the successful buyer and an unsuccessful buyer sued the listing broker for shopping offers. The broker's efforts resulted in the property selling substantially above the original asking price. The court rejected both claims and held that the broker was simply fulfilling the obligation to obtain the highest obtainable price for the seller. The court noted that the broker kept the sellers informed and followed their instructions throughout the negotiation process. The lesson is simple. The listing broker's loyalty belongs to the seller. Can shopping go too far? Although courts generally recognize a broker's duty to seek favorable terms, there are limits. Listing agents should never misrepresent offers. They should never invent competing offers. They should never disclose information contrary to the seller's instructions. and they should never engage in conduct that is dishonest or misleading. Professionalism still matters. A bidding war created through deception is very different from one created through legitimate competing offers. The seller must make the decision. One of the most important concepts in this discussion is that the broker should not make the decision alone. The seller owns the property. The seller determines the negotiation strategy. The seller decides whether offers should be disclosed. The seller decides whether buyers should be invited to submit their highest and best offer. The broker's role is to explain the risks and benefits of each option and then follow the seller's lawful instructions. As we discussed earlier in the course, fiduciary duty includes obedience to the client's instructions. The Kentucky case, when shopping reaches its limit. An interesting example comes from Smith v. Fidelity and Columbia Trust Co., a case involving competing buyers. One buyer increased their offer several times and eventually informed the broker that they had reached their limit. The second buyer refused to continue bidding and would only respond to a seller counteroffer. The seller later sued the broker, claiming the broker should have continued pushing for a higher price. The court disagreed. The court found that the broker acted reasonably because the negotiations had reached a practical stalemate. The broker had already attempted to maximize the seller's position and was not required to endlessly continue the process. This case demonstrates that a broker's duty is one of reasonable effort, not perfection. Professionalism matters. Some agents dislike the phrase shopping offers because it sounds unprofessional. The better way to view the process is strategic negotiation. A professional realtor can discuss competing offers without creating hostility. A professional realtor can encourage stronger offers without disclosing confidential information improperly. A professional realtor can protect the seller's interests while still treating buyers honestly and fairly. Professionalism and strong negotiation skills are not mutually exclusive. The best agents practice both. Talk to the seller before you shop. Perhaps the most important lesson from this section is that every multiple offer situation is different. In some situations, disclosure of competing offers may encourage buyers to improve their terms. In other situations, disclosure may cause buyers to walk away entirely. The listing broker should explain the available options, discuss the risks and benefits, and allow the seller to make an informed decision. The seller, not the broker, determines the strategy. The big lesson: shopping offers is not automatically unethical, improper, or inconsistent with a broker's fiduciary duties. In fact, courts have repeatedly recognized that a listing broker may have an obligation to seek the highest price and best terms available for the seller. The key is to remain honest, professional, and transparent with your client. Keep the seller informed. Explain the available options. Follow the seller's instructions. Document important decisions. When handled properly, shopping offers can be an effective tool that helps sellers achieve their goals while allowing brokers to fulfill their fiduciary obligations professionally and ethically. Online discussion questions. Question 1. Why might a listing broker discuss competing offers with buyers? Answer: because doing so may help obtain better price or terms for the seller, which is part of the broker's fiduciary duty to seek the best outcome for the client. Question 2. Who should decide whether offers are shopped or kept confidential? Answer: the seller should make that decision after receiving advice and information from the listing broker. Question 3. Do shopping offers allow a broker to misrepresent facts or invent competing offers? Answer: no. A broker must remain honest and professional and may not engage in deception or misrepresentation.